Top 7 things you'll regret not doing in the first 10 minutes of a blackout. In February 2021, millions in Texas endured days without power. People waited in long lines just to refill propane and basics to survive the blackout. What you do in the first moments of an outage can mean the difference between an inconvenience and a life-threatening crisis. Picture this. It's a normal evening at home, kids watching TV, dinner on the stove, your phone at 20% battery. Suddenly blink, everything goes dark. No lights, no Wi-Fi, the hum of the fridge dies. 10 minutes in, your house is pitch black chaos. Do you know what to do immediately? Most Americans don't, and it's literally killing us. Power outages aren't rare freak events anymore. 1 in 4 U.S. households lost power in the last year, and 70% of those outages lasted 6+ hours. Our aging grid is getting slammed by wild weather. About 83% of major outages in the last 2 decades were caused by storms and extreme weather. Blackouts are not just annoying, they're increasingly catastrophic. Don't believe it? Ask Texas. In the 2021 winter freeze, more than 4.5 million homes went dark and at least 246 people died. Some estimates put the toll over 700. Families froze in their living rooms. In summer 2023, record heat waves killed around 2,300 Americans, the highest heat death toll in 45 years. And imagine facing that with no AC. The next outage could be hours or days in sweltering heat or Arctic cold. The clock starts the second the power cuts. The first 10 minutes of a blackout are when you either get ahead of the emergency or fall dangerously behind. This isn't hyperbole, it's hard truth. Fail to act fast, and you'll be kicking yourself if you're lucky enough to be around to have regrets. So let's break it down. Here are the top 7 things you'll regret not doing in the first 10 minutes of a blackout. Delivered with urgency, a bit of sarcasm, but most importantly, packed with life-saving info. Pay close attention now, because when the lights go out, panic is a poor replacement for a plan. 1. Not grabbing a safe light source immediately, aka fumbling in the dark. When everything suddenly goes black, your very first need is light. You will regret not knowing exactly where your flashlights and lanterns are. Too many people waste those first minutes groping around in a drawer for batteries, or worse, lighting candles and creating a fire hazard. Newsflash: your phone's flashlight is feeble and will drain your precious battery. Don't burn it up in the first 5 minutes. Instead, every household member should know where a high-powered LED flashlight or headlamp is stored before a blackout happens. If the power cut is at night, you need light now, not after tripping over the coffee table. And about those candles, I get it. Candles are old school and kind of cozy, but using open flames for light is like inviting disaster to crash on your couch. The National Fire Protection Association (NFPA) reports that over 20% of fatal candle fires happen during power outages, meaning 1 in 5 deadly candle fires started when someone lit candles because the lights went out. Think about it, you're stressed, moving room to room, maybe you've got kids or pets, and now you've introduced multiple little fires into the mix. All it takes is one forgotten candle, or a gust knocking it over, and now you're not just in the dark, your house is on fire. In January 2024, a Pennsylvania family learned this in the worst way. A winter storm knocked out power, they lit candles for light, and by 4 a.m. their house was engulfed. A 64-year-old father of 2 died in the blaze, which officials say was likely sparked by the candles they were using for light. His wife and kids barely escaped. They had survived the cold, dark night, but the fire got them. Tragic and preventable. The smart move? Keep flashlights and battery lanterns in known, easily accessible spots, and check them regularly. The first minute of a blackout, you or your designated light captain should grab those lights and get them on. LED lanterns can illuminate an entire room safely. Headlamps keep your hands free. Pro tip, also great for kids who feel a lot less scared when they can wear a light. If you must resort to candles, treat them as a last resort and use them safely. 1 room only, attended at all times, away from anything flammable, and out of reach of little hands and wagging tails. But honestly, with the cheap bright LED options these days, there's no reason to risk an open flame. In a blackout, light is life. Make sure yours doesn't come with a wick. Your future self will thank you when you're navigating the outage without bruises or burning your house down. 2. Not turning off appliances and electronics, protecting your home and gear. You might be in a mild panic when the power cuts, but you know what future you is going to regret big time, leaving all your devices and appliances running as they were. The second thing you should do in a blackout, right after getting some light, is go around and turn off or unplug major appliances and electronics. Why? Because when the electricity roars back, it often comes with power surges that can fry your electronics or even spark an electrical fire. Imagine finally getting power back after hours of darkness, only for your TV, computer, and fridge to get zapped into oblivion, or an overloaded circuit setting your wall on fire. It happens more than you think. In 2019, the average U.S. home had over 5 hours of outage, and surges when power was restored caused untold damage to HVAC systems and gadgets. Don't be that person replacing a $1,500 fridge because you didn't take 30 seconds to flip a switch. Also, consider any appliance that was on when things went dark. Was the stove or oven in the middle of cooking? Was an iron left heating? A space heater running? Turn them off immediately. There's a double risk here. Not only can surges wreck them, but if you wander away and forget they were on, you could have a dangerous situation when power returns. Picture this: the power goes out while you're cooking, you get distracted with other emergency tasks, and you forget to turn the stove off. When juice returns at 2 a.m., that burner heats up unattended. Next thing you know, the kitchen's in flames while you're asleep. It's a nightmare scenario, but entirely preventable in those first minutes. So walk through your home, switch off the stove, toaster, space heaters, anything that draws a lot of power. Unplug sensitive electronics like computers, TVs, game consoles. Pro tip: using surge protectors helps, but in a long outage even those aren't foolproof. The U.S. Energy Department notes that voltage spikes can occur when electricity is restored, so cutting the connection is the surest protection. One thing to leave on though: leave one light switched on like a lamp in the living room. This isn't for safety but convenience. It will signal you when power returns. There's nothing worse than constantly peeking out the window at neighbors or fiddling with your flashlight to see if the streetlights are back. When that lamp springs to life, you know the grid is back up. Then you can systematically reconnect what you need, safely. By doing this, you'll avoid that heart-sinking moment of, oh no, the TV/computer won't turn on at all now, or the far worse scenario of an electrical fire. In the first 10 minutes of a blackout, a little unplugging can save you thousands of dollars and a ton of heartache. Future you will be high-fiving present you for this, trust me. 3. Not securing water while you have the chance. Water. You don't miss it until it's gone, and in a power outage, especially a widespread one, your running water could absolutely disappear or become unsafe within hours. If you don't take advantage of the first 10 minutes to secure an emergency supply, you might be literally high and dry later. This is one of those steps that people realize too late. Shoot, we should have filled the bathtub and pitchers while the taps were still running. Yep, you should have. Learn from the countless folks who skipped this and regretted it bitterly. Modern water systems rely on electricity for pumps and treatment. No power at the treatment plant or pump stations can mean either no water flow or a loss of water safety. Pressure drops can let contaminants in. During the massive Texas blackout of 2021, this became a crisis. Almost 14 million Texans, nearly half the state, lost reliable water service when the power went out. Treatment plants and pumps failed. Folks had to boil water, if they even had power to boil, or scramble for bottled water. News reports showed people melting snow to flush toilets. It was that bad. Don't assume your city water will just chug along in a big outage, and if you have a well with an electric pump, you already know the deal: no power, no water. So what should you do? The moment the power goes off, fill whatever containers you have with tap water while it's still flowing. Pitchers, pots, Tupperware, the bathtub. Clean it first if you can. Fill your sinks if you have stoppers. This water can be used for drinking if potable, washing, and crucially for flushing toilets. Pro tip: filling the bathtub can give you dozens of gallons for sanitation. You might not want to drink bathwater, though in a pinch you could treat it with bleach or boil if needed, but it's perfect for pouring into the toilet tank to flush waste or for basic washing. If it's winter and pipes might freeze, draw water before they potentially seize up. If it's summer and you're sweating buckets, that stored water might keep you hydrated and clean when all else fails. And remember, if officials issue a boil water notice, common in prolonged outages, that means you should assume water is not safe to drink straight. In Texas 2021, entire cities were under boil advisories for days. Having a stash of water means you can avoid drinking suspect water or at least have something to boil. The CDC recommends at least 1 gallon per person per day for emergencies, more if it's hot, and that's after you've pre-stocked some bottled water in your emergency kit. In the first 10 minutes of a blackout, you may still have running water. Use it while you can. Future you will be so much happier to have 5-10 gallons tucked away when the taps run dry or spew brown sludge. Trust me, Few things are worse than being thirsty and powerless, knowing you had a brief window to gather clean water that you squandered. Don't let that be you. Fill it now, not later. 4. Not keeping the fridge and freezer closed tight. Your refrigerator and freezer are ticking clocks in a power outage. The cold air inside starts warming as soon as the electricity cuts, and your food is on borrowed time. If you don't immediately take steps to preserve that cold, you'll regret it within hours when you're staring at spoiled milk and melted ice cream and the smell of rotting food starts creeping out. Yet in the chaos of an outage, many people panic open the fridge constantly. Big mistake. Every time you open that door, you're dumping out the cold air that's keeping your food safe. The clock ticks faster on spoilage. Here's the science. A closed refrigerator will keep food safely cold for about 4 hours during a blackout, according to food safety experts. A full freezer can stay at a safe temperature for approximately 48 hours, 24 hours if it's half full. But those numbers assume you don't open the doors and let the cold out. The first 10 minutes of a blackout, you should mentally declare your fridge and freezer off limits unless absolutely necessary. If you must retrieve something critical, say life-saving medicine that's refrigerated, grab it quickly and shut the door. Don't stand there with the door open pondering snacks. In fact, it's wise to eat perishable foods first if the outage looks to be long, but do it strategically and quickly, not with the door hanging open each time you're hungry. Another pro tip, if you have advance warning, say a hurricane or rolling blackout notice, freeze containers of water ahead of time and pack your freezer tight. A full freezer stays cold longer. Those frozen jugs can later be moved to the fridge to chill it if power remains out. If you didn't prep that far in advance, you can still transfer some ice or ice packs from the freezer to the fridge in the first hour to buy more cooling time, but again, do it fast and sparingly. Some people even cover the fridge with a blanket for extra insulation. Just be sure not to cover vents completely. And here's something many forget. Once food goes above 40 degrees Fahrenheit for too long, it becomes dangerous. You might be tempted later to save that expensive steak or your dairy, but if the outage drags on, you need to be ready to toss perished food. An outbreak of gastrointestinal illnesses often follows prolonged blackouts because people eat food that has spoiled without realizing. Trust your nose and common sense. If it smells funky or was above safe temp for over 2 hours, it's trash. No one needs a bout of food poisoning on top of a blackout, so in the first 10 minutes, lay down the law. Fridge and freezer stay closed. Announce it to the household. Put a post-it note on the doors if you have to. Stop. Keep closed. Save the cold. Ration out other snacks that don't require opening the fridge. Your future self will be delighted when, 8 hours in, you still have cold cuts and a drinkable milk for the kids, instead of a mini ecosystem of bacteria growing in warm yogurt. And if the power comes back in a few hours, you'll have saved everything. If it doesn't, you at least gave your food a fighting chance or a longer grace period until you have to cook it on the grill or toss it. When it comes to your fridge, the best action in a blackout is inaction. Keep it shut. You'll regret nothing, and you won't be mourning a fridge full of stinky, spoiled groceries. 5. Not communicating or getting updates. Staying in the information loop. In the age of smartphones and 24/7 connectivity, we take for granted how quickly we know what's going on. In a blackout, that luxury can vanish fast, and if you don't use the first 10 minutes to get informed and stay in touch, you'll soon regret being completely in the dark, pun intended, about the situation. Here's the deal. When the power fails, especially if it's widespread, communications networks might start failing too. Cell towers often have backup batteries or generators, but many only last 4 to 8 hours without grid power. Fewer than 30% of cell towers have long-term backup power at all. After that, if the outage persists, your phone signal could die or become very spotty. Don't assume you can just call for info or help later. Use that early window while cell service is likely still up. First, send out a quick text. Texts often go through easier than calls in stressed networks, to family or a friend outside the blackout zone if you suspect it's big. Power out here, I'm okay, will conserve phone battery, I'll check in later. This not only reassures people, it also might get you intel. Yeah, half the city is out, utility says maybe 8-hour restore, or it's just our block, a transformer blew. If you have neighbors close by, a brief chat in person using that flashlight can confirm if it's just you or everyone. Knowing the scope of the outage guides your next steps. If it's just your house, maybe you blew a fuse or there's an issue just on your street, you can inform the utility and possibly get it fixed faster. If it's the whole area, you're in for a longer haul and you'll prioritize accordingly. Next, turn on a battery-powered radio or car radio with the car outside. Don't run a vehicle in a garage to catch news updates. No radio? Check your phone's news or the power company's website's social media immediately while your phone still has charge and signal. Many power companies have outage maps or will text updates if you've subscribed beforehand. Government emergency alert systems might broadcast info if it's a severe event. Getting an idea of why the power is out and an estimated duration is huge. Is this a minor transient outage or part of a larger disaster? Are there instructions like boil water or stay off roads common in storms? For example, during California's wildfire-triggered blackouts, people who paid attention early knew whether it was a planned safety shutoff and roughly how long it might last versus some malfunction. Information is power, the only power you've got in a blackout. At the same time, conserve your phone's battery like it's gold. After you've sent crucial messages and checked initial info, put your phone on low power mode, close unnecessary apps, and turn off Bluetooth/Wi-Fi to save juice. Dim that screen. You do not want to burn through 50% of your battery in the first hour, mindlessly scrolling social media to see if others are complaining. Yes, it's tempting to hop on Twitter or X or whatever and see #PowerOutage trending, but limit yourself, get the key facts, then save battery. You might need that charge later to call 911 or get critical updates if the outage continues. If you have portable chargers or power banks, make sure they're handy. This is why one of the things you should do before a blackout is keep those charged. And remember, SMS texts and simple phone calls use far less battery than constant data usage or video streaming. Now is not the time to watch Netflix out of boredom. Lastly, consider the old-school communication. If you have a landline phone that doesn't need power, traditional phone line, keep it connected. It might still work. Or if you have walkie-talkies and neighbors/family nearby, that can be a backup. But in the first 10 minutes, the key is to get a quick situational awareness and send out any vital communications. You'll regret being clueless and isolated an hour later, saying, "I had no idea the whole county was out and a curfew was announced," or "I didn't realize the outage was due to a chemical plant fire and we were supposed to evacuate." Yes, those scenarios happen. Early info can literally save your life by guiding whether you stay put or leave. So radio on, phone used smartly, contacts pinged. After that, hush that phone to standby. When everyone on your street is shaking their phones because nothing loads, you'll be calmly in the know and ready to adapt, and that is a huge advantage. 6. Not checking for safety hazards. Fire/CO/gas and gear prep. This is one that separates the prepared from the panicked. In the first moments of a blackout, do a quick sweep for any immediate safety hazards and get your safety gear in place. You will seriously regret ignoring this when you're dealing with an easily preventable emergency on top of a power outage. Here's what I mean. Check for any open flames or heat sources. Did you have candles lit already? Maybe for ambiance when the lights went out? Extinguish them if you're leaving that room. Was the gas stove on cooking something that got interrupted? Turn it off fully. Don't let gas continue to flow unlit, or food sit burning if the gas comes back on unexpectedly. If you smell gas, natural gas leak, don't even wait, get everyone out and ventilate if you safely can, because a power outage plus a gas explosion is not the combo you want. And obviously, don't light candles or any flame if you think there's a gas leak. In the dark, our instinct might be to strike a lighter or match sniff the air first. Gas companies often advise that after an outage, especially weather-related, gas lines could be ruptured. If in doubt, skip the flame entirely. Deploy your safety detectors. Hopefully you already have smoke detectors and carbon monoxide CO detectors with battery backup. Make sure they're still on and functioning. A lot of people take batteries out of alarms, bad move, or they were solely wired to house power. In an outage, those are dead unless they have battery backup. If you haven't checked in a while, do it now. CO is a major killer in outages because people run generators or grills or even cars in garages to stay warm. It's called the silent killer for a reason. You won't know until you're dizzy or worse. In the Texas winter outage, over 1,400 people were treated for carbon monoxide poisoning. Many were saved by CO alarms going off in time. If you have a portable CO detector, some emergency kits do, place it near your main living area, especially if you're firing up any alternative heating or cooking source. Speaking of generators, if you plan to use one and it's urgent, maybe someone on medical equipment or you don't want your freezer food to spoil, get it set up outside now, before it's fully dark. But do it safely, never in an enclosed space, not even a garage with the door open, and at least 20 feet from the house with exhaust pointing away. Remember the tragic story from Hurricane Ida's aftermath. A family in Louisiana ran a generator on their small back patio. By morning, the mother and her 2 kids were dead from CO poisoning, even though the unit had a so-called safety shutoff. The space was too small, exhaust too close to the house. Don't be a statistic. If you're using a generator, the first 10 minutes are when you place it correctly, start it up if needed right away, and run a long extension cord to what you need to power. And once it's running, never leave it unattended indoors and refuel it only when it's off and cooled. If you're not comfortable doing all that safely in the dark or bad weather, better to hold off and prioritize other safety and warmth measures. Also, grab your fire extinguisher. You have one, right? Keep it within reach if you're lighting candles or running a fireplace or any flames for heat. The middle of a blackout during a snowstorm is the worst time to realize you can't fight a small fire. In 2021's Texas outage, a grandmother and 3 children tragically died in a house fire. They were using a fireplace and likely candles to survive the cold. We mentioned another case earlier with candles. Fires spike during outages because of these improvisations. A small fire extinguisher in hand can turn a potential tragedy into a footnote. Finally, gear up. Pull out that emergency kit you hopefully prepared. First aid kit on standby just in case. If it's cold, everyone put on extra layers now. Before the house becomes an icebox, dig out blankets, gloves, hats. If it's scorching hot, set up a safe space with airflow, open a window or door briefly if it's cooler outside than in, but be mindful of security. It's much easier to do these things immediately than when conditions have gotten extreme. Also, if you have portable chargers or batteries for medical devices, get them out and ensure the device is plugged into the backup. Many medical devices, CPAPs, oxygen concentrators, etc., have backup batteries. Switch to those or to a power station right away to avoid interruption. Nearly 14.5 million U.S. households have someone who relies on electricity for medical gear, and about a third of those experienced outages last year. Don't gamble. If that's you, you hopefully have a Plan B power, implemented as soon as the grid goes down. The key takeaway: take 5 minutes to scout and neutralize any immediate dangers and prepare life-saving equipment. It's a calm, methodical sweep. Flames out or supervised, gas off, alarms on, generator safely placed if using, extinguisher ready, medical devices secured. Future you and your family will be alive and well to appreciate that you didn't ignore the silent killers or the obvious fire risks in the chaos. You'll have headed off the things that turn a tough situation into a fatal one. That peace of mind is priceless, and it's earned in those first moments of action. 7. Not taking early steps to manage temperature, heat or cold. Don't tough it out blindly. Here's a reality check. In a blackout, extreme temperatures are as lethal as anything else, and your home will only protect you for so long without power. Waiting until you're shivering uncontrollably or drenched in sweat to react is a recipe for hypothermia or heat stroke. You'll deeply regret not using the first 10 minutes to stabilize your environment or decide to leave it. We humans like to think we can tough it out, but when the thermostat on your wall is useless, you need a plan fast for keeping warm or cool. If it's winter and frigid, your house will start losing heat immediately, though the rate depends on insulation and outside temp. Don't assume you can just light a candle and be fine. In the infamous Texas freeze, indoor temperatures plummeted to near freezing in many homes within just 24-48 hours. Sadly, many people hunkered down and did nothing until it was too late. Hypothermia set in. Hypothermia, dangerously low body temp, caused the majority of those 246+ Texas deaths. So act quickly. Gather everyone into one small room or area, ideally one easy to heat or insulate, an interior room or a room on the south side that gets sunlight by day. Close doors to unused rooms to trap existing heat where you need it. Grab blankets, sleeping bags, winter coats, whatever you have, and layer up now, not after you've been cold for hours. It's far easier to maintain body heat than to regain it once you're chilled. If you have a safe secondary heat source, like a fireplace, wood stove, or a propane heater, rated for indoor use with ventilation, set it up immediately. Build that fire, or turn on the indoor safe heater and crack a window if required for fresh air. Don't wait to see if the power comes back soon. If it's below freezing outside and the outage could be hours, assume the worst and start heating one space. Also, protect your plumbing in the first 10 minutes. If you suspect a long freeze, shut off water to your house and drain pipes, or at least leave faucets dripping to avoid burst pipes, which will add a whole new disaster. You might feel silly taking these drastic steps if the power returns quickly, but if it doesn't, you just saved your home and lives from further ruin. If it's a brutal summer, likewise, your home can become an oven. If the blackout hits and it's 100 degrees Fahrenheit outside, indoor temps will steadily rise, turning your living room into a sauna by nightfall. Don't tough out extreme heat either. Heat stroke can strike fast, and it killed at least 2,300 Americans last summer. So, in the first 10 minutes, cool the house strategically. Close curtains or blinds on any sun-facing windows to reduce heat gain. You'd be amazed how much this helps. If it's cooler outdoors than in, like evening time or a breeze, open windows safely for cross-ventilation. If it's hotter outside, keep windows shut to keep cooler air trapped inside as long as possible. Gather in the lowest level of the house. Hot air rises, so your basement or ground floor will be a few degrees cooler than that sweltering upstairs bedroom. Stay hydrated. Hopefully you stored water, as we talked about. Avoid heavy meals and strenuous activity. Don't start rearranging the garage in a blackout heat wave. Bad idea. If you have a battery-powered fan, break it out early while the house is still only warm to circulate air and keep everyone as comfortable as possible. A trick: wring out some towels in water if you have some to spare and wear them on your neck or head. As the water evaporates, it cools you. And never underestimate the danger. If anyone feels dizzy, nauseous, or stops sweating in extreme heat, that's heat stroke territory. You need to cool them immediately. Cool bath, wet sheet and fan, etc., or get medical help. Crucially, know when to evacuate for temperature. This decision might come later than the first 10 minutes, but you should use those first minutes to set a threshold. For example, if the indoor temperature drops below 45 degrees Fahrenheit, we're going to Grandma's who has a wood stove. Or if the house hits 90 degrees Fahrenheit and shows no sign of cooling, we will go to the community cooling center or a friend's place. It's much easier to have that plan up front than to debate while your teeth are chattering at 3 a.m. or you're on the verge of passing out from heat. And if you know the weather is life-threatening, like a coming blizzard or heat wave and a widespread outage, consider leaving early. During the first 10 minutes, you might decide, all right, if power's not back by sundown, we're checking into a hotel 20 miles out of the affected area. Beat the rush, because if you wait too long, roads might be jammed or dangerous, gas stations in the blackout zone won't work, and your car might be stuck behind 100 others fleeing at the last minute. In one California outage during wildfire season, those who left early avoided both the heat and the gridlock of everyone else panicking later. Those who didn't, well, some were found in their homes, overcome by 100 degrees Fahrenheit indoor temps. In short, don't be complacent about temperature. Your home's comfort zone is gone with the power, so you either create a new one or get out. Doing nothing in those first moments, not grabbing blankets, not closing curtains, not formulating a plan, can lead to a deadly regret. Your future self doesn't want to be saying we should have left yesterday while huddled in a frigid house or stuck in a sweltering one. Be proactive, stabilize or evacuate. It's a choice best made early, not when your body is already at its breaking point. Those are the 7 major moves. Light up safely, disconnect and unplug, secure your water, guard your food, stay informed, eliminate hazards, and control your climate. 7 actions in the first 10 minutes that tilt the odds in your favor during a blackout. 7 habits of highly effective survivors, you might say. Now, you might be thinking, all right, that's a lot to remember in a crisis. It is, and that's why you prepare now so it's almost automatic later. Let's be real. When the lights suddenly go out, there's a jolt of adrenaline, maybe a curse word or two, and your brain might short-circuit almost as much as the grid. You don't want to be scrambling to recall, what was tip number 3 again? Make a simple checklist if you need to, tape it inside a cabinet or save it in your phone's notes, with an offline backup. Walk your family through these steps on a calm Saturday so even the kids know flashlights first, then fridge stays closed, etc. Practice it like a fire drill. What does each person do when the power goes out? This might sound nerdy, but when you're the one house on the block not flipping out, you'll be the hero, not the nerd. Finally, let's address the mindset. A lot of folks default to hope. I hope the power will be back soon. I hope nothing bad happens before then. Hope is not a strategy. When the lights go out, which house will you be? The one where everyone's caught off guard, stumbling around, arguing, opening and closing the fridge mindlessly, draining phone batteries to see what's going on, lighting candles next to curtains and saying, I thought you had a flashlight, or the house that immediately clicks into action, flashlight on, appliances off, water filling, radio playing, everyone in sync and safe. The difference is huge, and it's determined now before the blackout hits. The choice is made in your preparedness and those first 10 minutes, not in the hours of desperation that follow. Time's ticking. The electric grid isn't getting any more reliable, and Mother Nature isn't getting any kinder. Every year we see more outages, longer outages, and more people hurt or killed because they weren't ready. Don't wait for a close call or a tragedy in your community to spur you into action. Make your choice now, take these steps to heart, and actually implement them. Stock those flashlights and batteries, get a NOAA radio, buy a fire extinguisher and CO alarm if you don't have them. Talk to your family about the plan. The next time the power cuts out, and there will be a next time, you'll handle those critical first minutes like a seasoned pro, not a headless chicken. Remember, what you don't do in those first minutes can absolutely hurt you. But what you do know and prepare can save your life and your loved ones' lives. So stay ready, stay alert, and when the blackout comes, you won't be in the dark. When the world around you is literally powerless, you won't be. You'll be calm, prepared, and miles ahead of the chaos. When the lights eventually flicker back on, you'll have no regrets, only the quiet confidence that you beat the blackout. Stay safe out there, and I'll see you in the next one, hopefully with your lights on.